Here I am all alone, picking something on my guitar.
Kevin, it was definitely a pleasure, and that was some phenomenal playing, man. I haven't heard stuff like that in a while.
Well, thank you very much.
I was very blessed to have you in here, and when I first heard you, I'm like, man, I gotta get this guy on the show. So what have you been doing during the pandemic? I heard you talking a little bit during the show about it.
Yeah, so I've been teaching lessons with music. I've been releasing a lot of stuff, releasing a lot of music. I've been doing a subscription service that I call Instrumental Monthly, and so every month there's a new song that comes out, and everybody that's subscribed gets those. You know, there's like hi-fi files. Sometimes I do music videos that just goes on there. A lot of different cool stuff, and I also started doing. Releasing singles of just like cover songs, because I never really did cover songs before. At least, I mean, I did cover songs, but not release them. It always seemed like a real pain to go through all this stuff of trying to get the licensing and things like that.
Right.
And I thought, I'm just going to try it. And it turned out to be really easy. So I did
Now, what were you getting the license? What were you getting the copyrights, you mean?
Right, the license to release the song.
Now, is that just vocals copyrighted, or do they copyright the instrumentation too? How's that work?
So you have the basically the publishing, which would be the lyrics, and then you have the music side, right? So there's like two sides of a copyright, and whoever owns that stuff, you might have somebody that just wrote the words and somebody that just wrote the music. So usually they would split that copyright in half.
Okay.
And it just depends on how the money gets distributed to everyone, right? So I did a Gillian Welsh song, which is called Everything is Free. And she wrote that song back like in the Napster days about how everybody was basically stealing music. And they think that everything, we could just get everything for free, And I thought that song was even more pertinent today because, we get paid through Spotify.
Yeah, speaking of that, I wanted to ask you, how do you feel that the internet has impacted sales for musicians, or how's it impacted learning or any aspect of music?
It's weird. It's because, one, I can have a studio in my house and I can record high quality releasable stuff that sounds as good as anything, with just a little bit of money. I shouldn't say a little bit of money, but not hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, you don't have to rely on the technician at the big high studios and pay those high prices.
Yeah, and if somebody is willing to put in all the time to learn how to mix, master, all of that stuff. I mean, there's a lot to know, as you know. Mm-hmm. But it can be done, and you don't pay a studio $2,000 a day, or whatever, and then you pay mastering to get done. It's a lot of money. So
what about the
distribution side of it is like, so I can record it, and sitting in my room, I can just hit a button, pay a little bit of money, and distribute it to the world. That is awesome. And at the same time, everybody can do it. So, and I think that there's also it kind of cheapens it in a way, and that's kind of what that song's about. Like, you just think it's free because everybody's releasing their stuff for nothing, and I don't have to pay for it. So the artwork or the art is not really worth anything. You know what I mean? So it's like that part is really terrible. But then at the same time, I got people listening to my music in Afghanistan, in Ireland, in the Netherlands, in Taiwan. I mean, it's like all over the world.
Just like students, I'm teaching some students in Africa and Germany, and how would I ever been able to do that without the internet?
It's totally awesome.
Yeah. And that part of it is. I think, though, in some parts, my opinion is it's kind of set up for ADHD people because back in the day, we used to go to the record store or the CD store and buy a CD and listen to this whole CD from front to end.
Yeah.
And there was emotions. That was like a story. It would tell you just through the songs. It would build and have all these explosions through the album. And now it's kind of like there's so much stuff in your face that it's overwhelming. You listen to a song, click the next song, then you just keep going on and scrolling down and down and down. So that part is a little weird.
It's, Steph, my wife, who's off camera, we were talking about this, that there's get her on camera.
Hi.
She's better looking than I am. We were talking about this, it was some study about the attention span of a goldfish versus a human, right? And what was it? The goldfish has a 12-second, 8. How many seconds?
I don't remember now, but it's less than a goldfish now by a second.
Yeah, so I think humans used to have like a 12-second attention span. This is like on average, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now, because of everything, the attention span of a human is lower than a goldfish.
I can see that. It's fast. Everything's so fast.
So fast, but we don't retain anything. And it's like
I tell my kids, they're 15 and 16, my youngest ones, and I tell them, what could you imagine? Back in the 80s, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have all these video games, we didn't have computers like this. Could you imagine what we could have possibly done? And they're just mind blown. They don't understand that world.
Yeah, you guys must have been so bored.
Oh my God, yeah. No, we went out and rode bikes and talked to people and mingled and played music in a circle, which is cool, and is also cool with the internet, being able to connect with musicians all over the world.
Absolutely.
So I don't know. I'm on the fence about both.
It's like the technology is phenomenal, but how do we use it is the question.
Mm-hmm.
Do we?
And you can get everything distributed and seen, but it's going to take a lot of work, and it's the people that put the most work in that are going to have the most outcome.
Yeah. I mean, all the good stuff rises to the top. I mean, well, maybe not all the good stuff, but it's. You're not going to make it if you don't have the chops or whatever. Saying nobody's going to buy a house from somebody that doesn't know how to use a hammer.
So, what got you started playing music? What inspired you? What was your first instrument, first of all?
Well, like you, I started playing when I was 3, and I started on the keyboard, and went from the keyboard to the drums. And I remember coming home, I would have my snare drum. Did you take your snare drum to school?
Mm-hmm.
On the bus?
Yeah, in the hard case and the big weird looking, yeah.
Yeah, bumping it into everybody's feet and stuff like that. It was insane. But I remember coming home and you have to practice your rudiments and show mom, and then the family would come over and they say, "Hey, Kevin, play that snare drum." I'm like, okay. So I'd pull out my music and I start playing, and after like 10 seconds, they would just start talking with each other and just completely ignore me. And I thought, this instrument sucks. Nobody wants to listen. And then I realized that everybody that was in the orchestra or the band at school, everybody that got the attention were the melody instruments. And so my grandfather played a little guitar, my dad played a little guitar, and my grandfather showed me 3 chords, and I picked it up like super fast. I was playing songs in the first hour, and just knew that.
So that was the ticket.
I just knew.
As soon as you started getting your hands on that, you just got that feel, and it was over. It
was awesome, and went from guitar, started playing banjo and mandolin, and just anything I could get my hands on.
Nice.
So,
have you had any formal training, or you just taught yourself?
Yeah, I've had. I think over the years I had maybe 7 or 8 different guitar teachers. I've had teachers with piano and drums in school, but like those teachers, I would take lessons for maybe a couple weeks. Some of them lasted a couple of months, but for the most part, I would say that I'm self-taught. But I did have that, like, I wouldn't call it formal, but I had that kind of like, here's the direction you should go.
Yeah. That's kind of how I was. I was raised by the ear first, and then I felt my way through until I couldn't feel it through anymore, and I needed to take a step further, and then I started learning how to read music, and then it went from there. But that's good. It makes you a rounded musician.
Yeah, I think, and like the mixing side, the rhythm side, keyboards, all of those things make you able to communicate with other musicians, and to be like, not just one trick pony or something like that. Like you can really understand music, and I think for me, it helps me with songwriting. It helps me with teaching, because even if I teach a student something on banjo, I can relate to a whole lot of other things and say, well, if you play this banjo with a guitar, you're going to want to do this because the guitar does this, or your rhythm is a little bit off. Think about it like a drummer. Here, I'm going to show you some rudiments here so that you can work on this. So all of that stuff just really helps.
So is this what you do full time? Teach and then perform,
Teach and perform,
whenever you can?
Yep, full time.
And how many albums have you written? How many are out there?
For my solo albums, I think I have 5 or 6. I have a couple of meditation albums that I've done. So that's those be outside, but just like regular albums, 5 or 6. Then I played in a band called Inertia a while ago.
What type of music was that?
It was kind of like, it was kind of like in the Dave Matthews days.
Okay.
Not that he isn't still playing, but I just like when it was like, the big college thing is like that acoustic kind of band, big harmonies. So that it was like an acoustic rock band essentially. And then I was in a bluegrass band and we released stuff. I was in a folk duo called Voxology, and we put out like 4 albums. So there might be about 15 different things that I've done.
Nice.
Yeah.
And where can we stream that stuff? Where's that available?
Everywhere. My stuff is everywhere.
Is there a tag we got to put in to find it?
Just put in Kevin Neidig.
Okay.
My stuff will come up. You'll see all the singles that I've been doing.
So you mostly work solo, not with a band?
Yeah, right now, for, I don't know, the past 7 years maybe, or longer, I've been doing solo stuff. I also play in a mandolin ensemble, and we might have like 1 gig every month, every other month, so that's just kind of like a hit or miss kind of thing. I play in a gypsy jazz band, and we might play like once every other month. So that's just kind of like my side projects, but mainly it's just solo.
Okay. Well, tell me about some of your best experiences in the music industry.
I think, I don't know, the one thing that comes to mind is I played with Voxology. We played the Winter Olympic Games.
Wow.
Out in Salt Lake City. And so we're in Park City, which was like the main, this gigantic stage. I mean, it was like arena stage sized. And here's the 2 of us playing folk music on this thing. And all the athletes are out there. They had like their beer garden for the athletes and all of the food vendors and stuff like that. And it was cold. It was in the low 30s, maybe high 20s. And it was snowing.
And you're outside playing.
And we're outside playing. And I had gloves where I cut the fingers off, and I had heaters in the front and the back of my hand trying to play. And there's this one of these like instrumental guitar things, and I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this because I'm freezing and my fingers aren't working. But I did it, and I thought, if I can do that in the snow...
I'm surprised they didn't have any heaters up there for you guys.
Nothing.
Wow.
No. So that was pretty awesome.
What about one of your worst experiences or funny stories?
Oh man, I think I've repressed all of them. I mean, I remember playing bar gigs with Inertia and just having like drunk people falling over the monitors, hitting the microphone stands, and the mics go flying. That's always a good time.
I definitely, I can relate, man. We have a horn section up front, and people would trip over the speakers and fall into the horns, and then their stands would fall into me, and it was like a domino effect.
What were you gonna say?
Oh, I said when your guitar got crushed.
Oh my God. Yeah. So, thank you for reminding me of that repressed memory. The Collings guitar that I was playing during the show, I don't know if you noticed it in the filming, but I was playing a gig at a winery, and it was outside, and we had these big Mackie speakers up on stands, and the wind blew, and I watched and I saw the speaker in the stand just go, and it landed square on top of the guitar and just crushed it. I mean, it was in splinters, and it was in that gig bag too, and obviously a friend of mine was there, and he had a guitar with him. Yeah, we could get close-ups of that if you want to, but I had given it to a guy, and he put it back together. He said every splinter, everything that was in that gig bag, he put it all back together, just glued it.
And it stayed straight and everything.
I mean, the guitar was phenomenal to begin with. I mean, it just sounded great. And after he fixed it even sounded better, if you can imagine. But he had it for, I don't know, a couple years, and because I traded guitars with him, and he said, well, you know, if I ever decide to sell this guitar, you'll be the first one I contact, you know. And every year I'd get on the phone, I'm like, hey, you gonna sell that guitar to me? And he's like, no, this is my favorite guitar. And this is one of these guys that has like tons of instruments. And finally he got sick of me bugging him, and he finally sold it back to me. So there she is.
Wow.
And
that's you saved the gem. It sounds like.
Yeah, but that was a horrible. I was just speechless, you know, because I heard it just go pop, and I thought, oh no. So that was pretty bad.
So what are some of your biggest influences?
I have a lot of different influences in the acoustic realm. Well, I'll save that for later, but I started really listening to like metal. Listened to Black Sabbath, AC/DC, and then more of some more like progressive things. I was a big Dream Theater fan. Megadeth, definitely Megadeth had a big influence on me. And I'm sure
that bass player, what's his name from Dream Theater?
Oh,
Asian guy.
Yeah, shoot, yeah,
playing a six string. It's like a piano. It looks like a piano on his fret. He's insane.
He is insane. People don't really give him too much credit because he's like super quiet, you know. But you watch him play this stuff, and he's right along with Petrucci. It's like, oh my gosh, like he's killing it.
Yeah, and it's like right on. It's like being on a metronome and getting it to hide.
Yeah,
it's just
exactly.
Insane.
Totally insane. But yeah, that kind of stuff, and you probably don't even notice it with like the music that I play, but yeah, that had a big influence on me. Ozzy Osbourne, definitely Ozzy's stuff with like Zakk Wylde and Randy Rhoads and that kind of stuff. But then I started getting into more of the bluegrass end of it. I heard Newgrass Revival for the first time, and my mind was just blown. I was like, there was a song, if you don't know Newgrass Revival, look up the song Can't Stop Now and turn it up to 11. And when I heard that, I was like, this is not blue. How are they doing this? This is insane. And my whole world was changed. My whole outlook of music was shifted after that song. And it went from them to Tony Rice, David Grisman Quintet, gosh. And then like Tim O'Brien, who was with Hot Rise. You probably don't know these guys, but if you're in that music, you know who I'm talking about. Daryl Scott, who's this amazing singer-songwriter, instrumentalist, like he's just sick. Yeah, so there's like this whole acoustic stuff that had an influence on me, plus the jazz. I'm like totally into gypsy jazz, all these French and German guitar players, and I love that music. And you probably don't hear a lot of that in what I do, but you know, it kind of creeps in because like I study that stuff when I'm practicing. That's the kind of stuff I practice, but the songwriting stuff is more on the Americana folk end of it.
Yeah, I'm that way too. I like all genres of music, and I can find something good. I'm not a heavy metal person, but I really, really appreciate. I think those drummers are like athletes.
Yeah.
And I can listen to that all day long. Just what they're playing, it's just amazing. But I get something out of every style of music.
Yeah.
And it might not show in my playing, but I think by listening to all that, all those influences, believe it or not, it does add up to what we have inside, what comes out. So before we wrap up here, what is next for you?
Well, I'm going to continue for the rest of the year for doing the Instrumental Monthly and releasing more singles. I've kind of shifted my focus away from doing like full albums and just doing single songs each month. I've got a whole list of things that's going to be coming out over the course of this year. I'm going to be doing some. I have some books that I've written, like banjo books,
Nice.
guitar books, and things like that. And I'm in the process of digitizing that stuff, and also creating other things. I want to have like courses of like a ukulele course, some other things that you don't readily find on the internet.
So are you in the process of writing anything new or working with collaborating?
I had not at the moment. I did a collaboration with Mary Kate Lee, who is a Celtic harpist with a band called the Seasons, and that just came out last month, I think, and might do some more with her, but nothing else in the works. That would be a lot of fun to do some collaborations like that. It's really cool with the internet that you can just like, here are my parts, here you put your parts on there, and that's exciting to me. I think that doing more online concerts, at least for the foreseeable future, is kind of probably till the end of this year. I know things are starting to open up, but we'll see how that goes.
And what do you want to say to your fans before we wrap up?
I want to say thanks for listening. Thanks for sticking with me. I know that the music that I write is not... there's a lot of stuff out there that really kind of resonates with people's base desires, if you will. Things about the relationships and very easy things to write about. I typically don't write songs like that. And, I appreciate the people that do like the things and the subject matters that I write about. And, yeah. The people that love my music love it, and I just really appreciate that.
Well, I certainly love your music. I'm a new big fan.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're phenomenal, and I can't wait to hear some more from you. I would suggest you guys go and check out his website, because there's a lot of stuff and different feels and styles on there that you might blow your mind. So definitely check that out. And if you like this guy, help him out. Please donate. And so it's been an honest pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Well, until next time, stay safe. Peace out, guys.
Hey guys, it's Justin
And Jamie.
from Creative Sound Studios Online. We really appreciate you guys tuning in, subscribing, and watching these local artists perform.
We really do this from the bottom of our hearts. And with your support, we can continue to help performing artists and musicians. So if you'd like to donate, there's a donate link on the website. Only give what you can. I really think you're going to enjoy what's coming up. And once again, we thank you.